I watched Twitchy Witch's YouTube video on Job, and I think my biggest takeaway was this idea of God evolving, that an omnipotent God never would have needed to have tested Job. When the Satan went up to God and was like, oh, look at that Job, he only worships you because he has everything. You take everything away, he won't worship you anymore. A God, an all-knowing God, wouldn't have to accept that test unless they were sadistic. But what Twitchy points out is that through that experience, God would have learned more about human nature and integrated it to become more all-knowing. Whether or not that's the way a Godhead works, it's an interesting idea to think about a deity, especially a deity like Judeo-Christian God, who in that lineage is the one and only God. Can a one and only God evolve? Doesn't that go against the point of the one and only God? But if we understand that God outside of the context of that lineage, we know that there are many other gods, and what is required for a God to continue existing is people's belief in said God. So it's cool, but also scary to think about that a Godhead is evolving all of the time, especially right now in the context of political situation in the States, where people who claim to know Jesus do not preach his teachings. What kind of power are they creating? Donald Hoffman talks about this, one of the theorists behind conscious agents theories, that gods are sort of a stacking situation, that human consciousness, enough of it stacks to make a god. Which makes sense if you think about reality as like a matrix or a simulation with a structure to it. Not the only reality or the only structure, but a structure that we live within. And maybe that's what people are trying to say when they talk about that we're going from 3D to 5D. I still don't know what that means. But I do like the idea of living outside of a matrix or transcending, moving beyond, working within in a different way. This reality, these structures, the oppressive systems like the economy. Anyway, Twitchy was telling me for a long time to read about Job, so I really appreciate the video, and I learned a lot from it. I think the only way to look at God is from all of these different angles, through all of these different stories, and then finding the truth as the space between.